Our next guest on the program, I am just beyond honored to have on with us to talk about animation. Actors like this man only come around once in a generation, and especially if you're watching this, if you share this face, you'll know what I'm talking about. A true inspiration for people like me. He is a doctor, stand-up comedian, actor, host, father. Please welcome Ken Jeong to the program.
Thank you so much.
Say hi to Canada.
You forgot to mention Instagram model, but we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post, guys. Don't worry about it. And all of my influencing on socks online. We'll talk about that later.
Well, it's funny because we're talking about consumerism and capitalism and its not so secret relationship with animation. And who better than the most marketable man in Hollywood right now? It's like I can't even close my eyes and put eye drops in without thinking about you now.
Be proactive about managing your symptoms by talking to your doctor about twice daily Xiidra like I did.
I mean, you talk about socks. I mean, like, what's next? I think that's going to be a new part of our show, is spin the wheel and think, what hasn't he been attached to? And you know, I mean, you're going to make eye drops cool. Who can say that?
What is that? Xiidra! Yeah!
I feel like I finally get to say, what's up, doc? And it makes sense. Because you're a doctor, so I can't not let that opportunity slide.
Hi, this is Dr. Ken Jeong of Dr. Ken, and welcome to Doc Support.
Not only do we have a world-class entertainer here with us today on the show, we have an actual doctor, so we could actually take 2 points of view on the relationship, the ups and the downs, the healthy, the not so healthy relationship between consumerism and animation. So bring us back to young Ken. What were the things that you grew up watching? Animation.
I mean, honestly, I'm not saying it because you're in the room. Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes was the biggest.
Phew. I zigged when I should have sagged.
Because they're comedies, it just really helped shape my worldview of comedy. You know, there's so much there. And as a kid, you know, coming home and just watching, and again, I'm not saying it because you're Bugs Bunny. Like, you know, it's like, it's very surreal for me to say this, you know, but it really is coming home and just, you know, you watch the 4 o'clock cartoons before you do your homework.
Urgent, SOS, Roger, Wilco, over.
Crumbly crunchies are the best, look delicious on your vest. Serve them to unwanted guests, stuff the mattress with the rest.
Like, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up watching Transformers, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, you know, like there's so many great properties that were definitely derived and created by these toy companies. But, you know, at the end of the day, they were putting smiles on kids' faces. They definitely, you know, they kept me out of jail. They had good moral messaging.
Remember, never get in anything that could close up and trap you.
Like an old trunk or an abandoned refrigerator. Now we know.
Some of it you could say, hey, you know, that was just kind of like a 30-minute toy commercial. So what is your take on that? Like, you know, toy companies that are involved in entertainment?
Well, I mean, for me, I've always kept my own performing point of view pretty simple. Whether it's an indie film that I'm a part of, that regardless of commerce, my work ethic, commerce or lack thereof, my flow remains the same. You know, I'm gonna put the same amount of effort into everything that I do. Even when I do stand-up comedy, if I'm doing an open mic to try out new material, or if I'm doing a crowd of like 2,000, doesn't matter. Both are vital to me. Sometimes it involves, you know, like you said, like whether it's My Little Pony and Hasbro and knowing that there's marketing involved in that as well. To be really honest, it doesn't matter. I'm there to service that character of Sprout. None of this goes, whether it's consumerism, whether it's having an independent film and going to a festival, none of this goes if it doesn't work, if you're not doing the work, you know?
Right.
Oh, every pony loves Hitch. What does he have anyway? Sure, he's got perfect mane, shredded abs, paid off mortgage. So what? I've got stuff. I can do, things like that, and that.
Growing up, though, did you have, like, any toys, like go-to toys? Like, what were like some of the favorite things that you had in your toy chest?
Oh, Star Wars action figures. I had a Millennium Falcon. I had the Darth Vader TIE Fighter. I had all the, I grew up in the 80s as well. And so, man, around that time, that was a special time with Empire Strikes Back, especially. That's still, so even back then, and you watch it now as an adult, like, wow, you just realize that's just a special movie, and it just drives your imagination,
So did you ever keep any of those old toys, or did you just get rid of them all?
They're somewhere like in my parents' home still. I didn't get rid of them.
Oh my God.
Probably in my parents' attic somewhere. Didn't get rid of them.
Sitting on a gold mine. So
sitting on a gold mine. You're right. Yeah.
The worst toy you've ever had, or the worst toy that you've seen?
I had Star Wars action figures and spaceships, and I do remember I didn't have a Luke Skywalker. I think I had all the other, maybe it was sold out or something, and I had like all the other characters in Empire Strikes Back, and I think my parents got me like, it must have been like a more generic version. It wasn't with Lucas. It was just kind of like, I don't know. It was like, I don't think it was Luke Skywalker, but it was it was like Luke placeholder. You know what I mean? It was just a substitute. And I remember when I got it, I didn't like it because the knees were bending, because part of Dad, these action figures by Kenner, they don't bend. They're stiff. That's the way the Force intended it to. And then I think I was like 8 or something. Then you realize this is even better. Even then, at that age, I'm like, this is even more fun, because when I have my friends come over, we play. It just stood out, and they remembered it, and I always had a good sense of humor about it, even then. And after a while, by the time I think I did get a Luke Skywalker eventually, I didn't like it. I liked my Luke placeholder much better. Because it had character,
So if there ever was a Ken Jeong action figure, the knees have to bend.
Guys, the knees have to bend. If any toy makers are watching this right now, please make the knees bend, because I'm a doctor and my knees bend in real life.
And I can just show you right here. This is the knee. There's a tendon that connects the knee to the leg bone, okay, called the tibia. There's a tendon here. You want to check the reflex of this. You go, oh, let me just check that.
My only demand is just make sure you get my arthritis right on my right knee. Make sure you get the slightly little joint pain. Make sure the joints are swelling. If he goes up the stairs too many times, make sure that's correct. That's my only demand from Dr. Ken.
You and I are both parents. I got a 5-year-old son. You have twin daughters?
Yep. Twin daughters.
So what were some of the things that they were into when they were just little?
When they were little, ironically, My Little Pony, that was huge in our house, when they were like of preschool age and kindergarten, My Little Pony had a feature film back in 2012, I think. It was like around 9 years ago, and my wife and I took our kids to the theater where they played it. It's like, and we circled the date. We got, it was like an event. So I think the themes of My Little Pony of friendship and inclusion and and love, it is magic. So it's very understandable why those themes still apply.
What is their reaction now that they know that Dad is in the My Little Pony lexicon as a character?
It brings back memories. It does. We watched it together. It brings back memories of there are some moments in the movie. I don't want to give it away, but they were where there's some nice little callbacks to what my kids had seen when they were little.
What if you're all right? The unicorns could come back. They could even bring the Pegasi. We are all in danger. Now is not the time to be complacent. We should do something.
And to see the look on their face now, you know, and like it just kind of brings that nostalgia back, and that was unexpected and that was warm. You know, it's just, it's for me. It's not about the commerce. It's the fulfillment. You know.
Aw, little Sheriff Hitchy came trotting back. Whee! Just in time to see me do what you couldn't. Attack our enemies!
It's very odd coming from a guy who's known from a lot of over-the-top roles, but to try to find some thread of authenticity, you know, somewhere. Well, could be very, very deep, but you know.
No, for sure, and I love that.
That's all I do, and you let everything else. And I've been very proud to say it. That hasn't wavered at all in my career, like ever. Yeah.
Watching My Little Pony with your kids when they're younger, and then fast forward to many years later, now you're a part of it, them freaking out and kind of like bringing back that nostalgia. I had the same experience watching Looney Tunes cartoons with my son, because I just remember me watching it as a kid, now getting to witness him see it, and him knowing the difference between Dad and Mel Blanc. Like, he knows when Bugs Bunny's not voiced by, you know, me. He got his dad's giant ears for sure. But you should see in the schoolyard, he will, when most kids kind of want to keep their parents away, he's basically like a little pimp. He like snaps his fingers and he goes, "Dad, come here, do the voice," and he goes, "Okay, go back to the car. I'll be there in like 10 minutes." But yeah, nostalgia is such a big part of kind of decision making now, the properties that are being made. You are also in Scoob.
We need to search. I suddenly feel funky. And I'm in. I've been hacked.
I call Scooby-Doo like the zombie of animation. It will never die. Scooby-Doo will never go away, and it's because it's just so good. It's just so simple. And just like Looney Tunes, it kind of just stays the same. Nothing about Scooby changes. The world does around them, but they stay the same.
Well, to me, nostalgia is like it's. I mean, it's also embracing history, and then your whatever future projects that either come from nostalgia or inspired by nostalgia. You're shaping the future with nostalgia. So nostalgia to me is just, maybe it's the doctrine, like medically, it's memory. Some memories are good, some memories are bad. Nostalgia is a good memory, and it's just going to either, like, are you going to inspire a reboot or do something, original, inspired by something nostalgic in the past and weaving it, or having more than one nostalgic influence, I just think that the kind of the timeline of art is based on, nostalgia is just one word, but if there's an homage, if there's a reverence to something, I just think and even if something's a reboot, you're still going to make it different. You're going to make it, you might want to make it relevant to today, the events of the day. So to me, if anything, it's really like, being a historian of something that you love, and you're hoping that carves out an even better future,
Clearly, I have no originality or my own voice. I only wear things that I love, and I talk about it and I wear it. Can you please, from your doctor's side, diagnose me and maybe give me a cure for my consumeritis?
Look, there's no cure for perfection, Eric. All right, so look, what you have, you're just a perfect human being, and it's incurable. You're just incurably perfect. See, Dr. Ken said that, only in Canada.
Well, not only am I getting sound advice on my filthy habits as a consumer, but my persona on social media. Thank you so much for your time today, Ken.
Oh my God, I love you, Eric. I love you so much, dude. I'm just, thank you for having me. I'm just so incredibly happy for your success. And you do nothing but radiate warmth and joy and just goodness, man. So just love to you and your family and just continued success, man.
Likewise, sir. Likewise.
And that's all, folks.
Love you, brother.